Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another video. My name is Mario So. In today's video, I want to talk about 5 reasons why you should not get the DJI FPV drone. As you probably know by now, a couple months ago, DJI came out with their first FPV drone. And DJI has been making drones, really good quality drones for a long time. I myself started flying drones since the Phantom 3 close to 5-6 years ago. But when it comes to FPV or first person view drones, this is a whole new world. So this new DJI FPV drone has really cool specs actually. And what I really like the most compared to other FPV drones is that it has the ability to hover in place. So you can quickly switch between full FPV manual mode to regular DJI hover in place mode, where the GPS signals and the drone just hovers by itself until you decide what you want to do next. But the problem with that is that people who may not know how to properly fly an FPV drone, like me who I'm just getting started, you might run into the likelihood of crashing that drone on your first FPV attempt if you're not experienced at flying FPV. So there are 5 reasons why you shouldn't get this drone, but there are other many reasons that you should get this drone. So if you're already been flying FPV drone for a while now and you're pretty good at it, then this is the perfect drone for you. Also, if you are pretty good at flying FPV, but you can't bother with assembling it all together or DIYing your own FPV drone, which is a huge part of this FPV community, then the good thing about this DJI FPV drone is that you can just have it pre-assembled and you don't have to worry about putting your own drone together. But there are also other companies out there, FPV drone companies, specific companies that also do these things for you if you wanted to get something else. Maybe you want to mount your GoPro or something like that and use a camera that's probably better than this DJI FPV drone's camera. So the first reason why you shouldn't be getting this drone is if you have never flown a drone before. There are better options available out there like the Mavic Mini 2, even the old Mavic Mini, the Mavic Air 1 or the Mavic Air 2. So if you're brand new to drones and want to get your hands on flying something that's easy and not too complicated, maybe the Mavic Mini or the Mavic Air 2 will be the best option for you. The DJI FPV drone comes at about $1,200. The Mavic Mini 2 comes at about $500. The Mavic Air 2 will save you about $300-400 compared to the DJI FPV. And if you get those drones, you don't have to be confused about all of the FPV components of the DJI FPV and just focus on flying your first drone. So the second reason why you will not want to get this drone is if you want to get purely cinematic footage. Even though you're able to get 4K with this camera, you get an angle of view that's a little bit wider in my opinion, and it gives you more of a GoPro look as opposed to a cinematic footage. On this DJI FPV, you get DJI's D-Cine-like color profile, which is good for tweaking some of that color to color correct it and color grade it. But if you really want cinematic footage out of a drone, I'll probably recommend getting the Mavic Air 2 instead of this one. The DJI FPV's camera is probably somewhere in between the Mavic Mini and the Air 2. So if you purely want cinematic footage only, this might not be the best one for you. But if you want footage that has that FPV look with that precision flying, then you might get the DJI FPV. So the next reason why you may not want to get this drone is if you want to take high quality drone photographs. With this DJI FPV, you can only take photos in JPEG. And we know if you're serious about photography and editing your photos, you want to take your photos in RAW or in DJI's format of RAW, which is DNG, digital negative. So this DJI FPV is not going to let you do that. You might as well get a Mavic Air and a Mavic Air 2, which lets you do that. Even the Mavic Mini 2 lets you take raw images. All right, the next reason is if you have never flown FPV before, but you want to get into FPV flying, then the DJI FPV, in my opinion, might not be the best one to start with. Instead, you're better off practicing on a simulator, getting yourself a remote transmitter for FPV flying that you can plug into your computer, download a simulator. I use Velocidrone, which is really cool. It's about 20 bucks. Yeah, you have to pay for it. The controls and the physics on that one are very realistic according to reviews that I've read online. So it's a good way to get started. And just by flying in the simulator, I can see that if I have gotten the DJI FPV to try FPV for the first time, I would have probably crashed it the first time. And I would have lost $100 just with that one crash. And on the simulator, you can crash as many times as you want, and you don't have to purchase a new drone each time you crash. And by learning FPV flying on a simulator, you get a better understanding and feel of what level you're at. You get the idea of when would be the time for you to get an actual FPV drone that you could start using to fly around and capture cool imagery and footage. Another option, in my opinion, is to get a beginner FPV drone, something like this kit that's already pre-assembled for you by Emax. This is the Tiny Hawk 2, I believe. This video is not sponsored by them or anything. I just found it online, and from my research I found out there are 2 kits that are really good for beginners trying to learn how to fly FPV. There's this Emax Tiny Hawk, and there's Beta FPV as well. They have this little kit with this tiny drone that has a camera, but the camera doesn't record. All it does is lets you see where you're flying, so you get still that first person view, and a very small drone that's actually quite durable. I'll show you what my kit has right now. One really cool thing about this kit over here with this remote is that it has 3 modes. It has a beginner mode, an intermediate, and an advanced mode. In the advanced mode, you get to do flips and all that kind of stuff. But if you're not used to FPV, it's gonna be a little bit disorienting when you do a flip. And it gets me dizzy sometimes. Actually, still gets me dizzy quite a lot. So I still need to get used to that FPV look. This kit that I have here is about 200 bucks. I'll be leaving some links in the description if you want to check it out. This is definitely the way to go if you've never flown FPV and you want to get into it. And once you've practiced your skills and once you're quite comfortable at it, then go for the DJI FPV. It comes with these goggles. It comes with the transmitter over here, the little drone. And one cool thing about this little drone is that it comes with these protectors over here, so you can actually fly it indoors. You'll be crashing a lot like me, but this is built in a way that it does take a beating, so it's pretty good in that sense. The camera here actually does not record. I think there's another model that does record, maybe 480p or something like that, very low quality video, but you wouldn't be getting this for its video quality capabilities. It'll be mostly for you to practice FPV flying and getting into the hobby. Make sure you also get a bunch of batteries. I bought extra set of batteries here because one of these lasts only about 3 minutes, which is really short, so you want to make sure you get lots of batteries. And the last reason why you should not get this drone, or any drone for that matter, is if you are not familiar with your local drone laws. Drone laws have become increasingly complex over the last few years, and a lot of cities actually do not allow you to fly drones. In Canada, for example, if your drone is over 250 grams, you're going to need at least a basic drone license. But especially in Toronto, a lot of areas do not even allow someone with a basic license to fly, so you're going to have to get an advanced RPAS license, which is the acronym for Remotely Piloted Aircraft System, RPAS. I don't know why they didn't just call them drone licenses, but yeah. So another reason why you might want to consider a DJI Mavic Mini instead is because it is just under 250 grams and it will not require you to get a license. You'll still have to be safe and abide by all the other regular laws that apply, but at least you don't have to get yourself a license. And if you get one of these starter FPV drones like the Tiny Hawk that I just showed you guys, you won't need a license either because those ones are really tiny. So get familiar with your local drone laws if you want to get serious about drone flying in general, especially when you start flying FPV for real. So I'm gonna try to continue practicing out here. It's a nice day and it's quiet, so I don't have to worry about crashing this drone into anybody. So yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. Make sure you hit the like button if you learned something new today, and if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.